I am Carl Vidal. I am one of the board members of the New Mexico Short-Term Rental Association. I'm also the author of the 2023 Economic Impact Study of Short-Term Rentals in the state, and it does break down Bernalillo County as well as all the other counties across the state. I wish those maps were still up because I could address each one of those individually and show where it's flawed. You know, statewide, last year we did $1 billion as economic impact across the state. And we did $82 million in taxes, and that does not include property taxes. In Albuquerque alone, we did $145 million of economic impact, and we did $11.5 million in taxes, again, excluding property taxes. Then you get into the jobs. Here locally in Albuquerque, Bernalillo County, we're talking about 3,200 jobs of people that make a living off of short-term rentals. We're talking about families that do that. One of the biggest issues I see with the map that was up there is you're talking about the greatest tourism zones of Albuquerque: Old Town, Downtown, Nob Hill, UNM, and the airport area. That is tourism in Albuquerque, and what this bill does is it eliminates competition from short-term rentals, and it gives it to the hotel industry. And it takes over $2 million to buy a hotel. We simply can't afford it. We're not elite. We don't have money like that. But you know, I think probably the other thing that's missing in that data is the number of full-time rentals. It's just not addressed there. And sorry.
Ms. Vidal, thank you. And thanks for coming in, you know, because I think we need to hear, you know, from everybody, and I know you represent the short-term rental, you know, community and association, and so I think it's important that we hear from you all and your concerns. And you know, it would seem like we have, you know, the reason why, or the reason why that there are the short-term rentals that exist right now, I assume because there's a demand for it. You know, if there wasn't a demand, then they would naturally be reduced, and people would either, you know, occupy their homes or sell their homes or, you know, do a number of other things. And so if it were limited, you know, and not ability to grow in a certain area for people to be able to use their residences in that way, and you already alluded to this, but where would that demand go?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I met with 5 cabinet secretaries from the governor's office over the summer, and I discussed the findings with them. One of the biggest comments that struck me from that meeting was from Secretary Lansing Adams on hospitality, and they have extreme concern that we don't have enough places for people to stay in New Mexico and that it's going to affect tourism, and that our hotel rates are higher than they should be compared to the states around us. And they're worried that if they get any higher, that you know, we're going to lose that tourism. I know New York City banned short-term rentals last year. Their housing problems, and there was an article in Skift on this, the housing concerns did not get resolved for long-term housing. They saw 0 impact on that, but the hotel rates went up 8.5%. If you add 8.5% onto our hotel rates, it's going to affect tourism. And I'm sure the hotel operators are going to be delighted, grinning ear to ear. But you know, it's not good for tourism in New Mexico. And I would also say for the hotel, or for the long mid-stay industry, we host traveling nurses, we host contractors, we host the hotel, or the Netflix and all of that. And if we don't have the ability to supplement our inventory with shorter term reservations, then we can't keep that available for the midterm stays like the traveling nurses. Because it's rare that you would get a back-to-back traveling nurse every 90 days. You get a traveling nurse for 90 days, and then you could go 40 days without anything, and then another traveling nurse. We need the ability to do that 40 days in there and generate money. There's one final thing here on availability of housing for short-term rentals that's in the economic impact study. Total, there's 3,325 short-term rentals that pop up on the same map that you displayed there across the city. Of those, 8% of them are full-time, meaning they're rented more than 11 months a year. There is additional 27% that represents 890 houses that are semi-full-time where they're rented between 6 months to 11 months, indicating the homeowners are using them for at least 30 days, but in most instances, half the year. And then of the 3,325 units, 65% of these are part-time. So when we say that going area by area, from Hunting to all the different areas, that there's this many Airbnbs, yes, there are, but they're not all full-time units. We're talking about families that are renting out their houses when they're on vacation to generate extra income, to cover mortgage payments or different items like that. My data, which is probably the foremost expert on data on short-term rentals in the state, in this city, we have 267 full-time rentals across the entire city. Creating a ban or a restriction on short-term rentals in no way is going to solve our housing concerns.
All right, thank you. I mean, some of the basic economics of regulating supply increases demand, puts pressure on the hotel industry, increases prices everywhere, and ultimately doesn't really solve the housing issue in that regard. I mean, appreciate the data and again, good information that we need. So, Councilor Grout.